everyone! Welcome back to the Convos podcast, where we sit and chat about the nitty-gritty aspects of life. We have new episodes every other Monday, and make sure to follow us on Spotify or any other streaming platform, and subscribe to our YouTube. Stay tuned! Hi! Welcome back to the Convos podcast. This week, your hosts are me, Ella, Emma, Naman, and Maxwell. And we will be talking about social media and the effects it has on everyone.
What a wonderful thing social media is. Why don't we start by talking about our lives on social media when we were children, like our personal accounts, our YouTube channels. Did you guys have like things like that? I know Naman has one. We won't say the name. We won't say the name for the sake of that not being released to the public. If anyone finds it, I'll give you $10. But what was your experiences with social media like growing up?
I feel like, in my point of view, social media came at a time really early in my life, and that time kind of had a lot of pros and cons that came with it. I guess a few pros to it was growing up to be the person I am now. My sense of humor is kind of based off the YouTube videos and the TV shows and everything I watched online when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But I also feel like it I don't know, social media, there's a lot of things on the internet which I can't delete now.
Unrestricted social media access as a kid. That's the best.
Yes. No, like, okay, watching Naman's like YouTube channel as like a kid too, he was cool. Like, he was one of the cool kids because he had a channel and like along with the other kids who'd like stream.
I wish I
like now we laugh, but back then, like we were like, "Whoa, Naman has a YouTube channel. He's got like 20 subscribers. Where'd they come from?"
Wait,
it was actually 120. Right?
So when you guys were growing up, did you have like completely free reign to do whatever you wanted on the internet?
Yeah, because my parents, like, obviously they couldn't navigate the internet as well as I could. So like I knew more about it than they did. So like they couldn't restrict me because they didn't even know how to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like they didn't even know that certain sites existed. I had like a slight restriction on YouTube, but that's because like it was easy to do. But like Tumblr, oh my god,
oh my god,
oh my god, I remember I had Instagram really young, like that I think before I was like right when it came out, or not right when it came out. That's like pretty early, but like really early on, where because I can remember like
logo, the one without the logo. Yeah.
And then I had like 5 different accounts for no reason. I had an account for my dolls, and I would like post pictures of them edited with like and like dress them up, and it was so bad. Oh,
bro, Emma and I had some crazy accounts when we were growing up.
Oh, but like I wanted to be like Ella's accounts. I wanted to have accounts like that. I ended up having a Minion fan account.
Oh my god! Do you remember when the most pretty aesthetic photos, like just pretty photos?
Yes,
I had one with like hundreds of followers. Yeah. Yeah, I was popping
you
off.
Just like okay, like you know the rainbow gradient of like your feed. Like you have 9 photos of red, and then orange, and then yellow.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh god!
That's so cool.
I had a Pokemon. Okay, specifically Mudkip, the Pokemon. I had a Mudkip fan page.
Is that the catfish one?
Like a fish. And then I also had a soccer meme account, and I had a hockey meme account. And I had like a bunch of fan page.
21 Pilots.
Hey yo, pause. I was wrong. I'm talking about it.
Didn't you write a 21 Pilots fan fiction at one time? A fan fiction between Tyler Joseph and I don't know. Just speculation.
Anyway.
Growing up on social media.
Dude, you guys actually had so much like ability to do whatever you wanted on social media. Like my parents weren't that technology savvy. But, like, my mom used Instagram and Facebook enough to know, like, oh, I'm not going to let him use that as a little kid. So, I first got an Instagram account in the 7th grade. So, that's, like, way after you guys...
Did you not have one in grade 6? I thought you did.
No, I only had one in grade 7. Like, I made it in grade 7.
Oh,
like,
you had Google Hangouts.
Yeah, no, that was my thing. Like, when I didn't go to elementary school with Ella and, like, the other people, I used Google Plus, okay? Google Plus. Okay, that's just who even remembers Google Plus? It's like they completely terminated now.
They were like circles, right?
Yeah, it was like a circle with a G and a plus. that was another level. It was pretty much just Facebook with a Google account, but my mom didn't know about it. I don't know how I can access the stuff I posted on, but it was probably would have been really funny.
I remember posting about Ariana Grande's new album, like my everything. So how long ago was that? Wait, I'm gonna check.
Max, do you think
like
getting
2014?
Do you think getting Instagram and access to social media at like a later age, in like grade 7, was beneficial or kind of detrimental for you in the long run?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily be able to speak on whether or not it was beneficial or detrimental, because I know like the culture of how the platform is used changed as we grew up and like in our age groups, as you get to know more people. And I guess that talks and speaks specifically to how like social media had played a role in our lives, because I would like to I think like, unless my timing is completely wrong, we were around like the first group of like kids that really had social media, like from when we were growing up, because I remember like YouTube was just starting out. Like it was before it was bought by Google. It was an app on the old iPhones, and it was just like a TV logo before it was the red with the play button.
Oh yeah,
like that's when we were growing up, when it was like Niga Higa had How to Be Ninja out, and that was like, yo, this video is so cool, it's so funny. And now there's so many people, like millions and millions of people making content on YouTube. I think us growing up with it was, I would like to say it was a good thing.
Yeah. But it can also be a bad thing, because I know like growing up, like if like having like Tumblr accounts and Instagram accounts where you're like, because even now you can see like really famous like models and stuff, and you might feel kind of bad about yourself, like, oh, I wish I looked like them. But like imagine being like under the age of 10 and seeing like grown women like 20, like even like teenager high schoolers, and like getting like insecure about the way you look, but like you're 8 or 9.
Yeah,
like you're like barely like you've barely developed, right? So you're like, because I guess I didn't like I grew up on YouTube obviously, but I was more like on the fashion side of things, like fashion inspo, beauty stuff. So like growing up, like if I had started later and maybe understood that looking a certain way is okay, you don't have to look like the famous people. But like when you're a kid growing up and like I guess seeing like photoshopped images but not being able to understand why you look different, that's
tough. And like adding on to that, it's like I saw something talking about this, and it was interesting because the current youth, I could say, I guess, people really young right now, a lot of their parents are still really new to this idea of like having idols online. For example, like you can take Charli D'Amelio. She's probably the most popular TikToker, and a lot of kids look up to her. And that may be like a kind of like a foreign like idea to many parents. And this kind of leads to a lot of like conflict between parents and kids, because a lot of kids may not be able to talk to their parents about this type of stuff. So they have to kind of like have these people to look up to, and they look up to these people like Charli D'Amelio. And that's not the parents nor the kids' fault. I guess that's just the fault of you know, us like social media expanding that quickly.
Yeah.
Because it went really quick. Like at first, like Musical.ly was just like right there, and then boom, now every single kid has TikTok. And it's weird, like it's like weird if you don't have TikTok on your like home screen.
Yeah. Like I think oh sorry. You wanna go?
Okay, like influencers now are a lot different than what they were back then. You know, my mom would tell me how she would line up to get CDs or like signed things from a store from like an artist she liked. And for us, it's still the same. You know, you line up during tour, you buy a meet and greet ticket. But I feel like now you can easily discover new things to like, new things to find, more than our parents did back then. Because it's not just here, like, it wouldn't be limited to what's going on in my country. There's going to be a lot of other things going on in other places that I can learn about.
Yeah, like everything's accessible online, and you get like I guess more content from influencers. If like, cause like I guess like when we were growing up, people didn't like post 15-second videos of themselves like every day, like twice a day and stuff. So it would be like once a week thing. It wasn't like it was like okay. Like I don't want to say occasional because like they did have a regular schedule, but now it's so easy to just spam posts and then and it's like super easy to become influencer. Sorry, and there's like courses and like targeted like classes to becoming an influencer. They're like specific people that work just for influencers. You know what I mean? Like managers, and it's just like social media now is just so heavily like it's like kind of I guess like social media is like it's really easy to just get social media and become an influencer, but also at the same time social media is like being pushed even younger and younger, you know what I mean? Because like I don't know a lot of kids that had Instagram when I was in elementary school, but now kids like just starting elementary school have Instagrams. So the age demographic is getting younger and younger, more people are using it, so it's so much easier to actually become famous because there's so many more people that like can be a fan of you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you see younger and younger kids get famous every single day. Like not too long ago we had like Lil Tay, and like that may have not been like her doing, like may have been like this whole thing with her parents stuff, but she's really young, and like having the ability to have social media at that young age may have been like really wild to when we were younger.
Yeah, like I know some of the most famous TikTokers right now. They're like a year younger than us, but they like moved out of their home state and they're like living in LA now. They live with like other people, like not with their family. Like that's crazy to think that like having like followers on an app at 16, you could move out of your home with like out of home with your parents, like just living on your own with like all your other 14-year-old friends, like a couple of like in like a big house in LA. Like that's crazy to think about.
It's also
just by like dropping some content that you thought up of.
It's also like it's a weird thing thinking about how many kids nowadays have phones. Like Ellie, you were talking about how many kids are on apps and stuff, but like the fact that kids have access to like technology to that level is such a different thing that we can even think of. Because like now, or like I guess pre-COVID, you'd go to restaurants and you'd see kids sitting around with their families at dinners completely glued onto their iPads
with their big chunky iPad cases with the green screens and the really loud video.
That's like a foreign concept to us, because when we were growing up it was like, oh, do this coloring sheet,
like on the back of the menu.
That stuff still exists, but it's like now there's free Wi-Fi everywhere. Kids have their devices, they ask their parents constantly to be using their devices, and that plays to like I guess the view of how technology is used now and how much more of a like necessary role it plays in our culture and our society. While we like started off like watching like actual cable TV and like Treehouse and TVO Kids and all that, now it's like you don't even pay for satellite. You watch the videos on YouTube. You can get all the kids shows there, Netflix, whatever it be. The websites. Like we kind of transitioned into the heavy usage, which is like what period of time we're in now, but kids that are like younger than us were completely living in it. They were born into a time where it was normal that everyone carried around phones in their pockets.
It's like crazy that when you had like TV, there was only like certain shows you could watch, but they can do anything. Like if they don't have any like restrictions, they can do anything, and like everything is on the internet, and like whatever they read as like a 6-year-old kid, that'll stick with them and it'll like shape who they become. So like obviously there are like good influence out there. If kids are watching like fun kid friendly people, then yeah, sure, that's like a TV show, but not. But then you get to like kids watching things where like I guess technically isn't kid appropriate, and they're watching that stuff at like a young age. Maybe back to like what I was talking about before, the fact that kids have access to grown-up stuff but aren't able to understand it yet, that really changes like the impact technology has. Because obviously when we were kids we watched like iCarly. Like what are you gonna get from iCarly? Like what from iCarly is gonna make you like question stuff? But when you're watching like
there's probably a couple things.
I was supposed to watch it.
Okay, back
to you. I'm like one of the things. It's wild. But like adding on to what Ella said, like it, especially how like easy it is for kids to like idolize someone. I kind of brought the point up earlier, but like you find something that as a young age you believe what you see on the internet, and that's like just like a known fact. You see something on the internet,
just believe in everything because you don't feel the need to question things because you're like a kid. Yeah, that makes sense.
You see someone and you see what they're doing and you idolize that, or you think, wow, that person's so cool, let me try it, or let me follow their beliefs, and that can really be detrimental. And it happened to, and I feel like some of us, or people our age at least, have also fallen victim to this, because this kind of also, I know I fell victim to this when I was younger. When for example, you'd see like these like super like belief pushing videos on YouTube, and you'd think like, wow, yeah, that person seems right, so let me kind of make my like think that they're right. And as you grow up, you kind of question the things and you kind of make your own beliefs as you grow up. But at a young age, and if this stuff is like rooted into your head at a young age, it kind of may like it may shape how a person grows up, really. And that's a lot of power for a young kid to hold, a small iPad to hold.
Yeah. Like, remember when Jake Paul and Logan Paul and Team 10 were really famous?
Yeah.
Like, they were obviously like not great influencers for kids, even though they were like marketed towards kids. So like, just like idolizing people that aren't necessarily the greatest. Like, even if we look at it now, there's so many people that are on TikTok that are objectively not good people, and they're like famous purely because of their looks, and kids will latch on to famous creators and will defend them. And even if the creator does something bad, the kids don't understand that yet. So whatever they do, they think it's right, and they will like blindly defend them with like their whole heart.
And that's the thing with social media, because anyone can post on it and become famous with it, you know, and like give anyone a platform, they can keep spreading it, and then there's a lot of people following that platform. You just never know what they can do with it.
Yeah. And it's also like,
oh, sorry. It's like some kids are watching JoJo Siwa, some kids are watching The Hype House. You know, there's a pretty big difference between the two, but they're both accessible on the same app, and their main audience is kids, but they are very different and they have very different content. And depending on who you watch, I think that can like really affect what you believe in and how you act.
And on top of that, social media in itself kind of pushes a system of you get more likes, you get famous. And likes and followers and viewers are so heavily like pushed, and it's like you need this to be successful, be famous. And that really messes with a kid. And I can say me as well. A lot of people, it's tough. You know, you post something and you constantly checking how many likes has this one got. Compared to my last post, how many likes has this got?
Or even like, oh, my friend got like 20 more comments than me. Do people like her more? Do people think she's prettier? Or even like, oh, why are people liking my post or not commenting? Like, am I not close enough with any of them for them to comment? Why is it just a like, you know? Like, really small things like these. Like, if you like look back on it, if you just stop for a minute and just think about the fact that you're living on a little rock in a big space, that does not matter at all. But it weighs so much in your mind, especially like since it's like when you're growing up, you like want to be cool, you want to be popular, and on social media, a way that people often measure that is just through likes and comments. So if you're not getting likes, if you're not getting comments, or as much as you want to get, it really messes with you. Like, especially when you're like younger and you start caring, when you're transitioning between like posting things because you think they're funny to like posting things to get likes. Like that transition period, you know what I mean? Like when you go from a Minion fan account to like a personal account. that period in between.
And at one point, at least for me, social media became the only place where I could feel validation, which is bad. But I didn't know where else I could find it. I just felt like that was the only place anyone would listen to me, you know, or like, you know, give me some attention.
Yeah, and like I still catch myself to this day, like seeing how many likes it's got, how many views in my story.
Definitely.
Like I still catch myself doing that, and imagine how much of that has on kids younger than us. Like, because like in the back of my mind, like when I think about it, I'm like, honestly, this doesn't matter. This doesn't matter really. But like I still catch myself doing it. But I know in the back of my head, it doesn't really matter. But like to kids or people younger than us who don't know any better, this is all that matters.
Like this is their entire life because they grew up on it. Yeah. So for their entire life, they've just been taught that likes are good, comments are good, followers are good, and if they're not getting them, then that's bad, and people don't like to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess bringing it back to kind of what Nauman was asking me, whether or not having social media at like a later point compared to most people was like a good thing or a bad thing for me. I guess we can talk about how Ella, you were saying there's different periods of how social media is viewed by our age groups, right? And kind of how it's taken by different age groups. I guess me like starting to like use social media at a specific point, I would say that I started using it right around the time where it was like you have to start posting stuff to look cool, because what matters is what your feed looks like, how well coordinated the pictures are. Okay, we're not going to talk about that, but like
the black and white feed.
It's really how you that's that point when I started using it. It was already how do you present yourself and how are people responding to that, and what do I need to change to start getting more people to like it, rather than just like, oh, this is enjoyable, like what Ella was talking about, posting this stuff because I think it's funny, posting this stuff because I like Minions, because I like a Pokemon or a band. Now all of a sudden it's I need this instant validation. And actually Netflix has a good I think it's either a documentary or multiple episodes that are talking about the effects that social media has on culture and society. And really a study was done, actually. It wasn't actually a study. It was more like just a concept that was used to describe what refreshing your feed is like on Instagram. It's like a free slot machine, right? Because the way that social media platforms make their algorithms is whenever you refresh it, there's going to be something new. And like kind of what Nauman was talking about with likes, you're always checking back to see if someone liked your post. This is more on the side of why do we continue to use social media, having the idea in the back of our heads that it's not the main source of validation that we can get. Why do we keep using it? Because every time we refresh, there's going to be something new for us to look at, something new for us to like, something new for us to comment on, and it's always going to be changing like that. And I think that's become a big thing, the addiction that people can have to social media and the amount that we use it now. Because I know I'm a victim to having very, very bad screen times just because I like sit in my bed and use social media, or like I'm just sitting at my desk on my phone, whether like using Instagram, Snapchat, whatever. It's just continuous.
Yeah,
there's so many platforms. I mean, you can switch between Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and so many more. And you're just like, it's just your way to connect with people, you know, especially like now when you have no really face-to-face contact.
Yeah.
It's like, you'll spend when like TikTok first came out, and like especially during quarantine, oh my god, I spent so much time on TikTok. I spent like, I would just lie in bed and just go on TikTok the whole day. And like, it would literally be sunset. I was like, I haven't even had lunch yet. It's crazy. It was so bad. Oh,
yeah,
God.
like my screen time for TikTok alone was like more than 7 hours. So that meant I was spending like half my time awake on TikTok. And like, I don't know, like the fact that I was like sleeping when the sun was rising just because I've been on TikTok all night, like it's just like it's just like one video after the other. It's been an hour, it's been 3 hours, it's been 7 hours, and you're like, oh shoot, I have stuff to do.
It goes by really quickly.
Yeah.
That's that's why it's so confusing, why it's so addicting, because why is it so entertaining to hear the same 15-second sound clips repeated over and over again as you're scrolling brainlessly through TikTok on your For You page? Why is it all of a sudden become such a normal thing to be hearing, oh, there's someone doing a dance, there's someone making a joke about someone doing a dance, and then another person doing the dance. It's such a repetitive thing, yet all of us fall into the pit of continuously going back to it as a form of entertainment because we're bored.
And it's, oh god, I really don't like going back to the topic of like kids younger than us. Like, it's so weird, because when we were that, like, this is like a lot of what a lot of kids do their whole days, and it's like when we were younger, or at least their age, this like social media, sure, we used it and stuff, but like being super addicted to it was kind of like, just like social media was like something we used, but it was kind of like on the side. We had like a bunch of other things to do. Like I remember when I was younger, on top of having my Pokemon fan page account, I played a bunch of Pokemon. Like I played and watched Pokemon with my friends, and like just like I feel like little things like that are kind of slowly like dying out, and like
or they're being put online
on social media. Yeah, and I don't like, and as we were talking about earlier, I think this has a net negative effect on kids.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a lot of the negative side of having social media as such a centerpiece in our society nowadays, where it's going back to the apps, posting for likes and comments. I just want to get this out there, like, before moving on to the next part of what we're going to talk about in this episode. Like, if you have a lot of comments, it doesn't matter. It's like the same 10 people commenting 10 times. It's like, that's sure, it's a lot of comments, but like just realize that if you get less comments than someone else, it doesn't matter. If you get less likes than someone else, it doesn't matter. Don't like acquaint your self-value to how much like you get responses on your social media accounts.
So, right. Okay. So repeat after me, everyone. You are living on a little rock, and you are enough of a person without random people from your elementary school or high school telling you that your outfit looks good, because you know it looks good. That's why you posted it. You know it looks good. You don't need people to tell you it looks good because you posted it already. You look good. You don't need other people to tell you that. All you need is yourself.
All you need to know is Ella thinks you look good, whatever photo it's going to be.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
If you feel insecure, if you don't have enough comments or likes, I get that. It's okay to feel insecure.
And then Ella will comment something on your photo.
That may or may not be feeding into the negative concept that we were talking about, but whatever, we'll move on.
Just know that if I were to come across it, I would think you look cool, whether or not I comment or not.
We all would think you look cool.
Yeah. Okay, so why don't we talk a bit about how social media and technology in our lives has played a big, like, positive role, actually, because I think, especially now amidst COVID-19, computers and phones and Wi-Fi and Google Meet and Zoom, those are, like, all of a sudden, those are the biggest things.
Those are the centerpiece.
Because, like, as much as we use technology, when you could go outside and you were going to hang out with someone, I would much rather hang out with someone in person than I would have to FaceTime them or go on a Google Meet with them. So all of a sudden, technology has become this really, really big thing. So what do you guys think are some of, like, the other good things that social media and technology has brought for us in, like, the last few years?
I guess just, like, connecting people. I'm going to go back before COVID happened. I used to be really interested in graphic design and, like, art and photography, and I actually had, like, a co-op placement doing marketing and graphic design. And one of the things I did prior to getting that, I made an Instagram account where I just posted pictures of things I made, things I drew, and, like, pictures I've taken, and I would, like, bring that to my interviews, and I would show them it, and it gives them a chance to see that, A, I know how to use social media, which is a really great way to connect with people, especially as a brand, and B, I had things, like, to my name that I made, and I could have just showed them a PowerPoint or, like, a little, like, printout of them, but, like, social media is such a great way to connect with people. You can, like, just send people your profile, and they can see all the stuff you've made. You can, like even at school, I know that a lot of clubs at school have social media accounts, and it's just a way to connect with people. Like, it's so easy to just share information. You get, like, what's happening at school today? I don't know. You can go to the school student council account, and the announcements are posted on the stories, and then you know everything that's happening. Like, it's just such an easy and quick way to get informed and get, like, just stay up to date, you know? Because everyone's just updating you.
And I think another fantastic thing about social media is just it allows a lot of people to be themselves. I think social media is if you put yourself into the right community, I think it becomes kind of like a safe space. Really, you can talk about whatever you want. You find some online friends, which is, first of all, online friends, amazing. Some of the best friends I've ever had have been online, and I think you find your community, and you can really connect with them, and especially in, you know, as I was kind of saying earlier about how it's tough to talk to parents about a bunch of things, it's important to talk to people. It's important to get emotions and feelings out, and you can't really hold everything in because that's just not healthy. So social media gives you that outlet in a way.
Yeah. For me, social media, I used it in the younger grades for like lives on Candy Crush. And then going into 7th and 8th grade, I don't know, like I started to feel really lonely. So I turned to social media to like talk to strangers, which you're not supposed to do. But online you find so much more people that share interests with you, and through that I've met through Troye Sivan, I've met a lot of friends, and I've even met some shout out Troye Sivan. I went to New York and met a friend, and we're still friends, and even now I'm still making a lot of connections through social media with people like all around the world, and it's really cool because I don't know, you learn more about people, you learn more about different places, and I feel like I can be more myself around them. Like I don't want to bore you guys talking about some of my interests, right? Like because talking with strangers is like they'd like it too, so you can like bounce off each other with stuff you like.
It's hard to find people that like, obviously in real life you're gonna meet some amazing people, but it can be hard to find people that have the same interests as you, especially if you're like growing up on social media and you have access to all these different things. You could be interested in different things in your friends, and sometimes it's hard to talk about those, and you just want like a community to talk about them. Like obviously, like between us four, I think we have like pretty different interests. Like we have overlaps, but like it's hard, especially if you're from like an area where it's like a smaller population. It's hard to find people that like you, I guess, really connect well with. Like what are the chances that some like the people that you connect well with are from your small hometown? You know what I mean? Like obviously you'll find great friends, but it's just on social media there are so many people that are just like you from small hometowns where there's like 5 other kids their age, and it's hard to like connect with them, but you can connect with someone like in a couple of states away, a couple countries away, and like you might not know each other like in real life, but you have the same interests and you can talk about those. It's just like online communities are a lot easier to find than people in real life if you want to talk about certain things.
All you need is like one hashtag, following one account. It's really easy to find people online, and that's good and bad. But right now we're talking about the good things. So
yeah, I was gonna say to any like parents or adults that are listening to us that have children, we're not like, please do not take this as, yes, go talk to everyone that you find on the internet that likes the same things as you. Obviously, there are limits to how much you talk about, how much you share, and you have to be smart about how you're doing it. Don't just go out and talk to random strangers about random things, right? Yeah, just to keep that in mind. So
yeah,
I think that's a big thing. There was an advertisement that I was hearing recently about Christmas, and it's like, we're working to bring people closer together because connection and having interaction with family is what's going to be the greatest gift of all this year. Because obviously we're all at home, we've been doing video calls, like the only way to keep in contact is texting and calling now. And I think now the way we use calling and use social media platforms to text is a lot different than how maybe it was like how you see in like the 80s retro TV shows, sitting on your bed with the telephone cord, picking up, calling your friend, and their mom picks up and they're listening on the other line and all that stuff. It's really different nowadays. I think that's a good thing, because if this pandemic was going on in a time where social media wasn't such a big thing, I would not be talking to half the people, or like even more than half of the people that I talk to now and I keep in contact now, just because of the way that I use social media as a platform for connection in my life.
Yeah, like social media kind of just no, I was just gonna say it like lets you it just lets you like keep up with your friends, you know? Like you don't have to see them every day obviously, but like just to like let them know you're there and that you're still there for them and you guys are still friends. It's just a really easy way to just, you know, just casually talk. If you miss them, you can send them a text. I miss my friends a lot all the time, so like I text them all the time. I'm like, oh hi guys, I miss you.
And like spreading information wise, like
at 3 a.m.
like spreading information is so much easier now. Like as what someone was saying earlier about like clubs, I think it was Ella, but like every club having like an Instagram now. Yeah, it's so easy to spread information. Like if I need to get like, I run a Instagram for one of my clubs at school. If I need to tell the people something, I'll just boom, send a post out, send a little story out, and it's just such a perfect way of getting information out.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, posting a post on Instagram or something is like 100 times more effective than sending an email now, because like people 100%. Don't regularly check their email. Like I know my school was doing like interviews for student council positions, and until we posted it on Instagram, we had like no responses back, like to like RSVP or spot, I guess.
Yeah.
We like, sent out the emails, no one responded, and then we posted on Instagram, and then like a bunch of people responded really last minute because they saw the post on Instagram, and then they were like, oh shoot, I had to do that, I totally forgot. And they go to their email, realize that we sent them an email, and then respond.
Mm-hmm.
So like, because emails are just, I don't want to say outdated, obviously they're still really important, but you spend so much more time on like Instagram than you do Gmail, so
yes.
On a larger scale, there's even like kind of what Nauman was starting to talk about was the spreading of information on a larger scale than just clubs getting announcements out and schools getting news out about what's happening at the school. Organizations, entrepreneurs, businesses, it's so much easier to have a startup. Like anyone can make an Instagram account. You just make an email and you sign up and you can start doing whatever you want, posting whatever you want. And that's kind of what we did with our account for this podcast, right? We started the account like a couple weeks before we started posting things, and we were gaining some sort of following. But for starting businesses and organizations that really want to have an impact, it's like it's a faster way to get that message out than putting flyers out now.
Yeah.
Because like of course people still put out flyers and advertisements because people are going to be going around and seeing it, but like going around and putting 200 pieces of paper about something or starting an Instagram account and getting a lot of people to share that on their accounts to their followers, it's a big platform that people can use, I guess.
Yeah, and like brand like brand deals, like people are paying a famous person to just post a picture of their product on their Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are getting paid for that, and it's like everywhere. It's like so subtle too. Yeah, and like obviously sometimes you can tell that it's an advertisement, but sometimes they're like really subtle and it's hard to see. So the next time you're in a store and you're like, oh hey, I recognize that product. My favorite Instagram person was using it. Maybe I'll try it out. Like you don't think about that a lot, but there's so many product placements in like everything now that it's just subconsciously in the back of your head. Like you recognize this like makeup product because your favorite makeup artist used it. So when you go to the store and you see it, you're like, oh yeah, I know that. My favorite. Yeah, and then you feel more like you want to buy it more than the other products just because someone that you like posted a picture of it, but they might have gotten paid like a couple grand to post it and they don't actually use it.
Yeah.
And adding on to what Max said earlier about how it's like so much more effective to post on Instagram than make 200 flyers and put it everywhere. It's really like interesting to me to see how quick something can go across Instagram. Like take Instagram by storm. Like an idea, like a good example of this is if you guys know about the record-breaking egg.
Oh
like,
no, I was thinking the egg. I was like, oh, that is the egg.
Like there an egg just said, hey, can we get most likes on Instagram? And everyone posted on their story. And then that person posted on their story, and then their friends were like, yo, let me check this out. They clicked the post on the story, they read everything about it, and put it on their story. And it went like, it was a cycle. And like on like a more like a more serious topic, like if there's like something like a petition that needs to be signed that's about for an issue that's like around the world, someone puts on their story, say, hey, click this. You can click the image itself on the story and read all about it, educate yourself and stuff like that, and put that on your story. And it's so quick and easy to spread word and information now. And it's honestly, like, I think a really, I didn't say, well, it's really good and also has some negatives to it, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like recently, we've seen like a really big rise in activism on social media, and some of that is like genuine, but some of that can also be a bit performative. We can talk a bit about that. But social media is just a really great way to just share things and like information, teach people new things. You know what I mean? Like it's just because everyone has it and everyone reads it.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you guys about that because obviously with like what Ella was saying, what's been happening recently, there's a lot of you're starting to see people use their Instagram accounts less as like, oh, I need likes and comments and post all of this stuff and make my account look nice, but it's also now starting to have a bit of a transition into, it is my role as a member in society to use my influence and the hundreds of followers that I have to get the message out in things that I believe that I need to share and things that I need to support. So what are you guys' thoughts on how social media is starting to have this transition to, I need to use my platform for activism? Like,
I think it's like,
I think it's great.
Yeah, like, especially since some of the people doing it have like actual big influences, and it can really like shape the way as, like, I don't want to say as a society, but like obviously like as a kid, when you have a role model and they're speaking out about like human rights, you know what I mean? Like making sure, like if they're talking about, like, for example, we can talk about, I know Charli D'Amelio talks a lot about like not body shaming people and like being nice to everyone regardless of what they look like and who they are. Her fans are like really young, and the fact that Charli D'Amelio is like really actively speaking about it, that can definitely impact the way kids treat other people. Like if they're saying that like Charli D'Amelio wants you to be nice to people regardless of who they like or what they look like and stuff like that, that kind of teaches kids to just be nice to people overall and just accept people. You know what I mean? Because if Charli does it, they want to do it.
And like, with that being said, I think it's, this whole like putting about like activism. Though I think it's fantastic, I think a lot of people use it as a way to, in quotation marks, get clout or like get famous and get, hey, look, everyone's putting on their story. Let me put this on my story too. Then maybe people think I'm cool or something like that. And though I think it's amazing that information is being spread, I think a lot of people do it for the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's important to talk about issues like these, and it's really important to inform people and to educate yourself. But a lot of people do it just to put it out there, kind of like really performative rather than actually doing anything.
Yeah, like assuring your followers that I'm a good person. Like, watch, I can post this like anyone else can, and now support the cause.
Like, it's not like a genuine belief for what they're posting. It's just they're posting it because everyone else is posting it, and they want to like make sure their fans like stay their fans because they're a good person, or just even like, I know that, like, not influencer wise, but I'm sure that a lot of people know at least one person on Instagram or social media that posts a lot about being like, I think August or September was like mental health month, right? What month was it? It was pretty recent, but I remember a lot of people posting like, oh, don't bully people, be nice to everyone you know. And some of those people do in fact bully people. It's not like something they just genuinely feel, you know what I mean? Or like people posting stuff about like people posting stuff about Black Lives Matter, like not being racist, stuff like that, but still staying friends with people who are racist. So you know that they don't actually care about it. They just post it to post it. Like, if you truly did care about these matters, you wouldn't be friends with certain people that you are friends with because they are pretty racist. So we know that like their post doesn't genuinely count because they've shown that they don't believe in it, you know?
Yeah, I think I was gonna bring this up, how I view activism on social media as kind of a double-edged sword, because on the end of the positive side, what Nauman was talking about, how it's so fast that information can spread, that speed is actually also part of the negative of why activism on social media is not a good thing. I'm not saying don't do it at all, because obviously there are benefits and it needs to happen, but there are negatives to it. And the first one I want to talk about is how, like, a lot of people can be reposting something on their stories, right? But like, once someone posts something, and then like another person who's just scrolling on Instagram sees it, doesn't look that much into it, says, oh, I think like people want to care about this right now. People want to see that I care about this right now. Why don't I share this as well? And then 800 followers later, another person does it, another person does it, another person does it. All of a sudden you have almost thousands of these stories all the way on your story feed, posts that are misinformation. Like, okay, I like to bring up an example. I won't stay on this topic too much because it's pretty sensitive. Black Lives Matter, Blackout Tuesday. obviously we all know what happened then. Instagram's algorithm was broken because of the amount of people that were posting a black square. In like the original intention of that was for people and organizations and companies who post regularly to not do what they're doing regularly and instead shift the focus. But if you're an inactive user on Instagram that kind of just browses and doesn't have any posts, doesn't have any stories or anything, what is you posting a black square going to do other than say, yeah, you guys remember when that BLM thing was a big thing? Yeah, I did that too, man. I did that too. I put the hashtags. You remember that? I did that too. I was part of it. That's the problem, because you have people who care about it, who are trying to spread a message, and people who don't care about it that want to say, yeah, I support that too. So then they put whatever they say and whatever they see. And obviously, we were talking about it earlier, anyone can make an Instagram account. I can make an Instagram account right now, make a post that looks pretty, have a fake organization name, and say, reshare on story, $1 goes to fixing trees in the Amazon rainforest.
Yes.
Realistically,
so many things have done that.
What is it like? How do Instagram accounts get money from people sharing on their stories? Like that amount of money. Like, okay, maybe there's an organization with a donor that's saying if you get this amount of shares. Okay, but that's not the case most of the time. Most of the time what you're seeing is people who are actually scamming by taking advantage of the fact that there's such a mob mentality on social media.
That's a good way.
If you're seeing one person do it, this person's going to do it, their followers are going to do it, the kids that follow them are going to do it because they don't know what's going on. What I think is a big thing, and I strive to do in my life, is when I see something, instead of saying, oh, that's cool, and reposting it on my story, I'm further into it. I'm going to do research. I'm going to read the news. A lot of people don't read the news nowadays. If you're a headline skipper and you just go through and you have arguments with people with no knowledge of the topic because you didn't do your research, you don't know where you're going. Like, I'm sorry, but it's hard to have a conversation with you, because
and it's like
when it's things that are serious, you want to show that you have knowledge of it. If you repost something and then I try and talk to you about it and you don't know what to talk about it because you don't know where you stand on it, you just wanted to say, oh, yeah, I kind of do too. Like, I don't know what I would do. That's a situation.
Yeah, adding on to what Max was saying, it's like I kind of strive to whenever I see something on someone's Instagram story or on an Instagram feed, which I haven't seen before, I make sure to kind of educate myself about it. I make sure to click that post, swipe through all the photos, and kind of just read up about it, because it's really important to know what's going on around the world. And I take that, and if I think, that's legit information, and I think it's important, I'll post it, because as what Maxwell was saying, it's like this misinformation is so easy to spread, and it sometimes ends up, detrimental to the main cause. Like, for example, the Blackout Tuesday event, everyone posting these black squares. I heard stories of it actually drowning out black voices. The main goal of Blackout Tuesday was to raise black voices and have them, heard. But everyone posting these black squares just kind of was like, it just did the opposite. It just drowned everyone out.
Yeah, social media is a really great place to just get information and read up about current events happening around the world, but at the same time, it's just a place to hear about them. Yes, you can learn about it, but it's always good to just make sure that the posts are accurate, because once again, you don't have to be certified true or certified correct to post on social media. You can post whatever you want, and some of it might be true, some might be false, some might be hurtful, and you just have to step back and look at the fact that it could be anyone posting anything, whether it's true or not, and you have to step off of social media and just kind of read about it on your own, see what you really think, because it's just a lot of social media is just fake. And you have to make sure that you are being genuine, because you don't want to be fake.
Yeah. If you feel responsible for spreading to spread information that can help others learn about stuff, it's also your responsibility to be educated on that topic. So you're not just oh, I'm gonna post this. Everyone's gonna think that I'm smart and I'm educated and I'm woke, but you're not. And then it's like, do you even have an opinion? Do you even have a view on this subject?
Yeah.
In addition to that, it's like, I think there's also a certain level of like desensitization now to like people reposting things on their stories, because like it's become such a big thing to repost things on their stories. Sometimes people get tired of it. Like it sounds like a very bad thing, but it's just natural. The amount that, like, as much as you can care about something, the more like the amount of things that are constantly popping up that are just about one thing, people just click and skip forward, right?
Yeah, keep on swiping or tapping.
Yeah, it's really
'Cause-
unfortunate that is a thing.
Because it's just like a trend now to be really like to have activism on your account, and that's like, not to repeat things, obviously it's really great, and it's fantastic that like voices that aren't typically heard are being heard, but then it gets to a point where it's hard to tell if people genuinely care about it or even genuinely know what it's about, or they're just posting it because everyone else is posting it. And if they're posting it just because everyone else is posting it, that can be really hurtful, and that could be pretty detrimental. And just like not knowing what you're posting about, that's that's pretty kind of iffy. If you're just blindly reposting things.
It's unfortunate, because I myself have had a couple interactions with people that were extremely awkward about specific things that they've reposted on stories. Like, they've reposted something, and it's something that I've already looked into, like, researched and informed myself on, and I asked them like about the post that they shared and why they shared it, and they didn't respond, or they didn't know what to respond, because it's like, I already did it. Like, it's like, whatever. Like, that's
I posted. What else do you want me to do?
But I'm like saying, as I follow you, we obviously have some sort of relationship to an extent. Like, I want to know why you did that and where you found the information, and
exactly,
like, if it's wrong, I'm gonna tell you that, but you should have the open-mindedness to be able to accept the fact. Like, I'm not saying if you repost something that's misinformation, you're over. I'm gonna unfollow you. It's over, because obviously there's going to be times where you think something is right and it's not right. Like, maybe it's going to be something that people are reposting or whatever. So like what Naman was talking about, like, we're kids on the internet. We're going to find things that we think are true that aren't true, just because of how much it exists in being pushed as the truth.
Yeah, and since there's so much information on social media, like, as you grow up, like, maybe your opinions will change, and I know that happens to some people. The fact that, like, the more time they spend on social media and the more information they're presented with, their views on certain things might change, and like I guess like causes they support will change and shift based off of like social media interactions.
It's a good thing to start. Like, it's naturally going to happen that as you grow up using social media, technology, and just in life in general, you're going to start developing like your individuality, and it's going to be less how can I like please what everyone is doing, and it's going to become more, how do I know this is what I believe in, and how do I know this is what I think is right, based off of facts and information that I find through doing research and talking with people and having conversations that need to be had. And on the topic of what I was talking about earlier, kind of reposting and like something that's wrong and people challenging you, cancel culture. Why don't we talk about that for a little bit?
Cancel culture.
I'm sorry for all of you listening to this. I think this is a lot of negatives of social media. Obviously, we're going to talk about the big things, and obviously this is one of them. We gotta hit the big targets, and this is one. Cancel culture. What do you guys think about that?
Cancel culture as a whole is quite a lot. Obviously, there are instances where like people genuinely do deserve to be canceled. You know what I mean? There's also a difference between. I mean,
some people should be going to jail.
Yeah,
like, right.
Like, if someone does something illegal, they're not canceled. They're arrested. They are imprisoned. That is illegal. You know what I mean? Like, wait.
No, yeah. It's like cancel culture as a concept is actually a pretty, like, sure, the concept of taking so seeing this person is sure they might not do illegal stuff, but they're, for example, racist or homophobic or transphobic or just sexist or anything, taking them and kind of deplatform.
I don't think that's a word.
Taking away their platform.
Taking away their platform.
I can't speak. Taking away their platform is actually like sure a cool concept, but in practice, cancel culture I think is just super detrimental. I think it doesn't cancel people who should be canceled, and it just kind of it doesn't push a narrative of kind of getting better and rehabilitation in a way, kind of, because it's like you want people to get better. I feel like that's the goal. I know. If someone is racist, I want them to become not racist. That's the goal. And I think kind of what cancel culture does is it puts everyone like a giant swarm of bees on that person, and that person is now kind of like hated by all, and then you kind of fall into a group. You kind of fall into a thing where you group up into people. Like, I'm canceled. Hey, you're also canceled. I'm canceled. Everyone hates me. Everyone hates you. You kind of form together like that. And that doesn't help anything. Yeah. People are still going to be racist if they're canceled. And that doesn't help.
There's a big difference between someone who, like, was racist in the past and, like, active, like, trying to show that they're trying to get better versus someone who's just racist and ignoring people and just blatantly being racist without changing. And obviously, like, if you are not, like, the group affected by, for example, someone's racism, obviously you don't really get to say if it was okay or not. But there's a really big difference between holding people accountable and just straight out, like, canceling them, I guess. Yeah. And cancel culture also really, like, targets minority groups a lot, because, like, there are people who do the exact same thing, yet one of them will get canceled, one of them won't. And obviously it, like, depends on the fan base. But I know that not to, like, bring TikTok into this. I know there's Madison Beer. She got canceled for something that another person literally did the exact same thing of, but he was a guy and she's a girl, and there's like a really big difference in between, like, obviously, like, their fan bases are slightly different, but the fact that he's, like, a cool guy versus Madison Beer, who is like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just cancel culture targets different groups, and the groups that they target are mostly minorities because, like, famous people who are not minorities have, like, they get away with more. You know what I mean?
On top of that, it's
like a lot for, like, women in the industry, like the music or acting industry. Like, the other day, a really, like, not really old, but, like, a live stream from Doja Cat in, like, March when COVID first hit. It was her saying, like, oh, this isn't that bad, we're gonna be fine, we can keep going out. And then only recently were people saying, like, oh my god, she is so stupid, like, why would you say something like this? Like, are you not educated enough? So I just saw a lot of that on my timeline the other day. And then I found out it was from March, and a lot of people were thinking like that in March.
Yeah, and also
to call her out for something like that, like, so, like now,
especially the way they
same people.
Yes, especially, like, the way that people will cancel people, because there's a definite, like when you cancel somebody, it's not, at this point, it's not just taking away their platform. It's, like, calling them stupid, and, like, obviously, like, yeah, if someone does something racist, that's pretty stupid. But, like, people are targeting the person themselves, and obviously I get that, but, like, things they can't, like, people will often bring, like, race into it, or, like, gender into it, or, like, their physical appearance, and, like, imagine you're, like, obviously, there's someone doing something bad. Obviously, they deserve to get their platform taken away because they're, like, a genuinely bad person. But if people are attacking the way they look, and then someone else who's, like a totally regular good person scrolls past it who looks like them, that affects them too. Or, like, bringing in different aspects about the person that don't relate to the topic at all. It's cancel culture has just turned from just not supporting bad people to, like, just like absolutely destroying them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I kind of want to bring it a little bit back to what Naman was saying at the beginning when we were talking about cancel culture. I agree with cancel culture on paper. Like when you see cancel culture on paper, taking away people's influence and holding them accountable for the bad things they've done in the past. That is what should be done, right? And then we talked a bit about how that's not really what is being done. All of a sudden now, this concept that you have that's good, like, yes, we should be doing this. When someone does something bad, tell them it's wrong. All these people should look at them and say, what you're doing is wrong, because maybe something will click in their heads, and that will tell them maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should reevaluate myself and reevaluate how I think about certain things, how I view certain things. But really what it's become is kind of what we were talking about with social media activism. It's a mob mentality. If you go on Twitter randomly, hashtag blah blah blah, whatever. Naman was telling me a little bit about like some of the things that he's found on Twitter before. Like he just sees like someone's being canceled. Okay, what's it for? Like the same thing as posts on Instagram. A lot of people won't look really into why it's happening, why this information needs to be shared, why it needs to happen, why a person needs to be held accountable for something that they did wrong in the past or recently, but instead they'll just hop on it. And because they're just hopping on it and they're uninformed, it's this swarm. We were talking about how it's a giant swarm of everyone attacking this one person. Yes, that can hold them accountable, but also when you have a lot of those people that are swarming have no clue why they're swarming and attacking, what does it become other than just
hashtag
toxic?
Cancel said person.
Yeah.
When a
hashtag
page, when it becomes trending, what is it?
You hashtag cancel this person, and then you go to that. You don't, bro. When I see like hashtag cancel said person, I'll click it on trending. I'll scroll for so long. I don't know what this person's done. I don't like it's just like making like what Ella was saying about how like they just make fun of them as a person. They'll like make fun of like their like how they look and like just about how they are as a person. I won't know what's going on, and like it's like this person. Oh, canceled. About what? Like I don't know.
It's like they hate on someone without really understanding like why they're doing it. It's just they don't realize why people actually hate them. It's just they see people hating on one person, they want to join in, but they don't really understand why. Like to them, it's not holding them accountable and like making sure they change as a creator, as an influencer. So, like to them, it's just an excuse to make fun of someone. And
or an excuse to gain likes and retweets on a tweet.
It's the unfortunate reality. It's the idea that you have to do things that are being done so that you can gain popularity, that you can get likes and people can see, oh, he's fighting for the right thing. Like I think another thing that it actually does is kind of like what happened with Blackout Tuesday, everyone posting black squares. It takes away the actual reasoning for why it needs to be happening. We were talking a little bit about how having so many people have no idea, they just use it as a way to attack someone and pretty much bully someone. That's toxic. Like you have people that aren't as active that find out later that one of their favorite artists is canceled, and no, like you're not, dude, like don't listen to their music anymore. You know that person's canceled now. Like you can't support them. You can't be listening to their stuff, streaming their music on Spotify, watching their YouTube videos. They're canceled. Why were they canceled? Yeah, I was trending on Twitter. So in part, it kind of hides like what the person actually did, because all of a sudden you have so many people that are supporting it and were against what the person did that didn't really know what they were doing. And then people can't really get informed because there's so much of this flocking that's happening.
Yeah. And like at a certain point, it's just like the real reason isn't there anymore. Like recently there's someone who made a song called Cancelled, and they pretty much just like kind of jokingly mention a bunch of reasons why people were canceled, and they're like real genuine reasons, but to them it's like the whole canceled thing has been such a joke they're like gaining stuff from being like problematic. Like they're gaining things from like
it's like
they're calling people out in the song, yet they're still friends with them, so they understand it's bad, but at this point, since they're getting so much attention from doing it, they'll keep doing it. Like because cancel culture is just giving them attention. Yeah, it's a joke to them. They don't care because it's just like no one's actually holding them accountable. It's just people talking about it, and at the end of the day, when people talk about things, you're still talking about it. It's still getting attention, even if it's bad. Bad attention is still attention.
People will like the said person who made the song, like, they're looking out for people to cancel. Like it's like hungry sharks, and that's what takes away from the whole main goal of trying to get better, because it's like you're so scared of getting canceled. Oh, I'm gonna get canceled, that you just don't pay attention to actually trying to get better. You pay attention to repressing your bad things and not letting it come out. And it's like it becomes it's literally like a pool of hungry piranhas waiting to cancel the first person they get their fingers on or teeth on.
Yeah, it's at this point it's just an excuse to be a bully, like regardless of what they did. Like obviously, yeah, it's just attacking people for things that aren't related, but it just gives them a chance to do it and like feel good about doing it. It's like, oh, it's okay if I bully this person and make fun of the way they look because they
activism.
Yeah, because they did something bad, so I have the right to bully them on something that doesn't relate at all.
Yeah. And now the concept is so like diluted.
Yeah.
So now the actual issues they don't really have the spotlight anymore.
Yeah, so I guess on a closing note for talking about cancel culture, it's the same thing as social media activism. You have to know for yourself why you're doing it, why you feel you need to share it with other people, and think wisely about the way you are sharing it with other people. Because if it turns toxic, that's not good, because then your good message, what you're trying to do, is getting lost, like what we've seen a lot. And it's all about holding yourself accountable, because I think a big thing is, before we start looking at other people and other like big issues that are happening, I think we have to look inwards at ourselves. Where do we need to figure out what we're doing wrong? Because often, like what we were talking about with social media activism, you have people posting things because they want to bring awareness for something, but then people that know them in person know that they do things that are completely contradictory to the thing they're reposting. Take a second, look at yourself in a mirror, like have conversations with people that disagree with you, and really think about how you need to change yourself. Because oftentimes you got these big people being canceled because they have a lot of followers. Just because you don't have a lot of followers doesn't mean there might be a reason for you to be quote unquote canceled. I don't want to say like canceled because obviously it's not the same, but there might be reasons for people to not want to hang around you. Maybe you have an opinion on something that's not super informed. Make sure that you're taking time to think about yourself and how you can improve as a person before you're going out and attacking people.
Yeah,
like Max talked about having tough conversations, and that is so important. I would not be the person who I am today, politically and just as a person in general, without having tough conversations. They're so important and they're so needed. Looking yourself in the mirror, evaluating yourself and your choices of friends who you hang out with, what you post in your story. It's important to have those conversations, tough conversations with yourself and with your peers. Converse about different opinions and get educated, learn about topics, and then talk about them. It's really important to evaluate yourself and your surroundings before you really make any continuous decisions.
Yeah, social media is a really excellent thing, especially now, like connecting with people and learning stuff. But once in a while, you just take a step back, look at everything, just stop and think for a second. What are you doing on social media? How are you doing it? Is this something you actually want to do? And how are you bringing it off of social media? Is this social media you same as offline you? Are you doing the same things offline than you're doing online? Like, just evaluate yourself like a checklist. Just once in a while, just reflect on what you're posting and what you're doing offline and online. Compare them and just see if this is what you want to be. And if it's not what you want to be, there are a lot of ways you can turn it into something that you want. So just learning more, reading more, being more aware, and just understanding that at the end of the day, social media is just a very, very tiny thing. It's somewhere where people share words and pictures. Some of them have meaning, some of them don't. But it's not the only place where words and pictures can have meaning.
The final note on the document that we have for planning and like kind of our guideline for what we wanted to talk about in this episode was actually future of social media. And I think it's a bit naive of us to think we can discuss what's going to happen with technology and social media culture, because who knows, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Pandemic, who knows, anything can happen that can automatically change like this. But I think the one thing that we need to do and like have in our minds is that it's time to start disconnecting from social media. And as ironic as that sounds, because social media is on technology, it's time to start separating from it and like having a clear mind when you're viewing social media. Like a lot of what Ella was saying, I agree, we all should agree with. It's time to stop putting so much value into things that are on social media and instead think about how we can better ourselves as people, and then in turn just use social media as a smaller aspect to help spread information, connect with people, build businesses, build companies, build projects, help out your school clubs, whatever that be. Use it as a tool instead of social media and companies and big CEOs using you as a tool for them to make money.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to separate social media and like understand that it's not a big deal when you've pretty much been raised on it. And I get that it's hard, and it's hard to not let it affect you, but just like it's really easy to just look at it in the grand scheme of things. Like once in a while you gotta just reflect, and just making sure that who you are online is not like a fake version of you. It's like the genuine you, but just extended. Like it's you, but shared with the world. It should just be you. It shouldn't be something that you're not genuine in. You shouldn't have to pretend to be something else, you know? Like, yeah, it's fun to follow trends. Maybe I like this girl's skirt. I want the same skirt. But there's certain trends that if you don't want to do, you just don't do it. And at the end of the day, it does not matter. Maybe you don't like the skirt. You don't have to buy the skirt. Just because everyone's buying the same skirt doesn't mean you need it. If you're happy about the skirt, you're happy about the skirt, and you don't need to go out and force yourself to wear a skirt that you don't want to wear.
And yeah, like likes and comments and follows and views, it's at the end of the day, it's all really just superficial. Like, you just have to. I know this is so much easier said than done, and I know I can speak for myself. I'm still fighting with this. I'm still trying to learn this lesson, but it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. As I was saying, in the grand scheme of things, likes and comments and what skirt someone's wearing doesn't really matter. As long as you're enjoying yourself and you're having fun and staying safe, that's all that really matters. You have to realize that, you know, the beauty standards pushed with everything, all the things you see left, right, and center, see all these things that are pushed on you. At the end of the day, it all, you know, it doesn't matter. You just have to stay happy and safe and healthy, and I think that's all that really matters.
Yeah, social media shouldn't drain you. Don't. If you start feeling drained by it, it's time to take a step back.
Post what you like.
Not what you want.
Your social media account is yours and yours alone.
Period.
So we got a bit motivational speech at the end there, but I think that's all that we have to talk about today for this episode. So Ella, do you want to close this off?
Yeah. I hope you guys all enjoyed it.
Now we're going to tell you to follow us.
Follow the Instagram, but I'm kidding.
Go on Instagram now.
Make sure to follow the Instagram guy.
Yeah. Well, I hope that there was something in today's podcast. I know it like jumped from Minion fan accounts to activism to cancel culture to self-worth, but I hope there is at least one thing that you felt really resonated with you that you can think about and apply to yourself. Maybe, I don't know, just view social media just differently in general after this. So I hope that you guys all enjoyed it. I hope you learned something new or just got your vision broadened. But make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Convos podcast and subscribe to our YouTube, like the video, share with your friends. Because even though social media can be a little bit mean, it's still a great way to connect with people. Thanks for watching. Bye.
If you've made it this far, comment your longest screen time down below if you got that.
Oh god.
Okay, have a good night, everyone.
Or
bye.
Good night, or good afternoon, or good morning, or see you guys next week in 2 weeks. Bye.
Next Monday.
Next Monday.
Next Monday.
Next Monday.